Oh my God, was Bellator 155 a big bag of horrible mess? Rafael Carvalho somehow kept his title, beating Melvin Manhoef. You have to hear the details. You just got to. Before I get into the main event and the co-main event that was only partially better, let's talk about the other fights on the main card. First, we saw Joey Beltran against Chase Gromley, and it was a heavyweight bout with a super weird setup because Beltran was, everybody knows Beltran's fought at middleweight, light heavy. He's not really a heavyweight. So he's taking on Chase Gromley, and Chase Gromley has him outweighed by 28 pounds. 28 pounds. Nonetheless, Gromley does not want to engage. He would not step forward to push the action, to try to use his size advantage at all. Just totally stayed on the outside almost the entire bout. It was really odd. All of his offense was essentially leg kicks and wild overhand rights that never really connected. So it was really crazy. Somehow he got the decision, a split decision, 29-28 on two cards. One judge saw it for Beltran. I actually would have given it to Beltran, but the fight was just bad, man. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I don't think I've ever seen a worse main card in all of the years, and I've been watching MMA since UFC 1. I can't remember ever seeing a worse main card than what I saw on Friday night. The next fight was Alexis Dufresne against Marloes Coenen. Now, this particular fight was the best fight. It was the best fight of the night, and it wasn't great. I was very disappointed with Marloes Coenen's behavior. She got shocked and got upset via armbar by Alexis Dufresne. Marloes Coenen is known for her ground game. She's a legend of the sport, legend of women's MMA, and she did really nicely, working from the bottom to earn a sweep against Dufresne to take top position. But she got sloppy, and Dufresne showed a very good guard. Threw her legs up and was able to get Coenen in a triangle position. Well, Coenen was trying to wiggle out, so Dufresne would transition from that to a neck crank, and then finally to the armbar that made Coenen submit. Dufresne goes over to Coenen to shake her hand after the fight, and she just sits there on her knees and does not even acknowledge the opponent. Right now, there is some background here. Coenen was angry with Dufresne because Dufresne missed weight by 5 pounds. The fight had to ultimately end up taking place in a catch weight. Most of the time, people get angry at their opponents if they're overweight, especially if it's grossly overweight, because it's seen as a lack of professionalism. I get that, but this particular situation was a little bit different. How, do you ask? Well, Alexis Dufresne had a baby in November, at the end of November, right? It's May. Okay, so we're talking about a little less than 6 months ago, she had a baby. Also, she got this fight on short notice. So you I'm not totally excusing her missing weight, because she's missed weight before too, but so the disdain that Coenen had to me was, I think, a little bit over the top, and her behavior afterwards was just ridiculous. I mean, you're just not going to shake her hand. I mean, it was really crazy. I'll be totally honest, I was really happy she lost. Basically, based off of the way she acted, I was happy she lost. But that was the most action-packed fight of the night. The next fight was a foul fest between Augusto Sakai and Dan Charles. Augusto Sakai had two pretty clear groin kicks land on Dan Charles early in the first round. He got a point deducted, which we're going to talk about point deductions once we get to the main event. But I thought the Spike television broadcast team thought that Sakai still won all 3 rounds. I don't know what they're I don't know what they're putting in the potatoes up there in Boise, but the judges are not seeing things clearly. One judge gave all 3 rounds to Dan Charles. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I just don't get it. I don't know. It was crazy. 30-27 to Dan Charles, and the other 2 judges had it even, so the fight ended up being a majority draw. Crazy, ridiculous card. Made no sense at all. Co-main event wasn't terrible, but it also wasn't good. Pat Curran, former Bellator featherweight champion, defeated Georgi Karakhanyan via unanimous decision. Now, the one or two exciting moments that happened in the card happened in this fight. Curran catches Karakhanyan with a left hook, drops him, tries to pound him out, but he couldn't get him out of there because Karakhanyan's 1, tough, 2, pretty resourceful off his back, so he couldn't get him out. And Pat Curran was a little bit, I think, he should have been a little bit more aggressive. Should have probably forced Karakhanyan to stand up because he was truly rocked, and I don't know how much longer he would have lasted if he had let him stand up. But you often see fighters make that mistake. They drop a guy and they start trying to finish him on the ground, when if you really think about it, this guy is rocked. If you made him stand up right now, he'd be in trouble, but you just don't see people take advantage of that as much as they should. I thought Curran won the second round. The third round, I thought he gave up completely the round because he figured he had won the first 2, and Karakhanyan was able to come and get that round with just more aggression. But the fight ended as a just absolute dud to me. And yeah, the right guy won, but it was like, you won't ever remember this fight. In the main event, oh my God, how bad of a fight was this? I mean, this Melvin Manhoef, Rafael Carvalho fight was billed as this action-packed thing that absolutely positively had to end in a KO, right? Somebody's going to get knocked out. These guys did more dancing in this fight. And I mean, it very well may be the worst main event I've ever seen. I've already said it's probably the worst card. I think the main event was probably the worst main event. Not only was there no action, the decision in the fight was terrible. Melvin Manhoef deserved to win this fight. I mean, he wasn't his normal action-packed self, but he was clearly the man trying to make this fight. If there were any decent shots landed, which there were like none, they were landed from Melvin Manhoef. It looked like Carvalho gave up in the 4th round. I mean, we're talking 10 seconds left in the last 2 rounds. He literally almost turns his back and walks away as if he just like done with the whole situation. It was terrible, man. I'm telling you, the Twitterverse was going nuts. Jonathan Snowden, who also works at Bleacher Report, says this is a candidate for the worst fight of the year. Rob Tatum of Combat Press said this is the worst event ever, the worst scorecards ever. It's laughable. When the scorecards came out and 2 judges gave this fight 48-47 to Rafael Carvalho, I said, you know what? This was the first ever MMA event in Boise, and you got to really consider whether or not there should be another one. Because clearly, the people that are judging or they need to just completely turn over whoever was appointed as the judges. They can just completely turn that team over. You think CJ Ross was bad in basketball and in boxing? Oh my God. She would have made the judges here at Bellator 155 look like absolute geniuses. This was terrible. Carvalho holds on to his belt, but he has to be, you know, you've heard the term people's champ. He's the absolute opposite of that. No fan outside of close personal friends of his can like the fact that he's still champion. This is how bad this was. I'm not exaggerating. I promise you I'm not. If you think I am, just go on Twitter and search hashtag Bellator 155 and you will see that my opinion is lining up with probably most people out there. It was really that bad. I can't say nothing else. It was, and you guys have never heard me give a recap like this, right? So I appreciate you watching. save your eyes and don't watch Bellator 155 if you get a chance. But God bless. Peace.